Hello, this is Mr. Greiner. I'm one of the AP teachers here in Newton South, and I am going to explain to you a couple things. First, we're going to talk about why you have to do summer work. Second, I'm going to talk to you about the textbook. Although you don't have a physical copy of the textbook yet, you do have PDF format of it. And third, talking about the type of notes that you should take that will lead to the best success in AP class. So first of all, quick note on why summer work. There is an overwhelming amount of material to cover to prepare ourselves for the AP test. That test is in early May. So just logistically, we have to have students with a little bit of a head start in the year in order to get through the material and leave time for reviewing, because we do have to end the class early as far as new content learning early to prepare you for the AP test. And a lot of the class, because of the overwhelming information, part of the challenge is self-teaching. So you will need to sort of practice learning the content on your own, and we'd like you to have a little bit of a sense of what the class is like before you come in the beginning of the year. So with that said, this will be your textbook when you finally do receive them in the beginning of the year. Although it is a concise version of the previous textbook that we used to use, it is still a lot of content to learn, and we do recognize that. So before you even think about taking notes, there's a couple things that we'd like to sort of get you in the habit of doing in order to lead to success. So before you end up reading the textbook, we'd like you to get some sort of sense of what happened. If you just start taking notes without this sort of overview of the textbook, then you will end up just writing down every single fact, wasting your time, and not actually learning information. So here's what we recommend. Go to the chapter, and we'll just start with chapter 1 since that's the chapter you guys have to read first. Before you take notes, just simply read, sorry, I'm having trouble getting there quickly, just simply read the introduction, and at the end of the chapter, read the conclusion. By doing that, you'll get a sense of what happened before you get into the details. Then, it's a good idea to go and look at the vocabulary list that was given to you by your AP teachers. And you can sort of, for now, just look over these historical debates, but what we want to get you into is looking at these vocab words right here. So if you have a sense of what are the most important words as determined by your teacher, they'll probably be the bolded words in the book, but they might not be. So look these and have a good sense of them in your head, or keep them next to you as you're reading so that you know what it is you're supposed to be writing down. Then, definitely worthwhile to spend a little bit of time looking through and looking at the images and reading the captions. This will give you a deeper understanding of what the big picture is before you start learning about the minutia and little bit of information. So you see here we've got maps of Native Americans' cultures, we have some early contact, and so you get a pretty good sense of what you're looking for. Finally, a quick little note about the special sections in this textbook. You'll see sections that say consider the source, debating the past, or America in the world. These sections are not, let's say, they are very, very valuable, but you will not take notes off of them. So we would recommend reading them. And if you can read them even before you read the chapter, that's even better. They will give you a deep and purposeful understanding of where the field of history is on these topics, how it fits into a broader international context. Students that really understand history deeply read these sections and think about these sections, but if you are just frantically trying to take notes, you do not need to take notes on these special sections. They're important, you should read them, but they don't present new vocabulary. They merely tell you about what the important concepts are and how they fit into the larger field. So please do look at them, but once again, no need to take notes off of them. So with all of that said, that's what you should do before you take notes. Basically, we call it getting your mental Velcro so that the information can actually stick to something. So read the intro, read the conclusion, look at your vocabulary list, look at the pictures, read the special sections, then take notes. But the question then comes, what type of notes should I take? It's important to note, we will never ever grade your notes in AP class. That's not what we do. What we do is we grade your understanding of those notes. So you have to take notes, but that's not really where it ends. No one's going to look at your notes. So you can take whatever kind of notes you want. So this is just a strong suggestion, not a requirement. Our strong suggestion is that you take handwritten Cornell notes. This is a system developed in the Ivy Leagues, but has been used by teachers in special ed classrooms all the way down to elementary school. It works for most people if done properly. So what you do, and this is just a special Cornell notebook that I bought. You can buy them for $4 on Amazon. But essentially what you have is a header. Then you align about a third of the way to the page, and then you have a bottom section here. All right, so this is your header where you say what's in your notes. This is your notes. This is the first thing you review, which is the main ideas. This is the second thing you review, which is your, sorry about my silly handwriting there. This is your summary. And then you typically want to leave this page blank. And over here, this is your reflection, where you can have questions, you can doodle, you can have pictures, anything along those lines. This is good to sort of have as something in class so that you can sort of refer back to your textbook notes in class, but have this open as you discuss those notes and teachers ask you questions about those notes. So this is sort of a quick version of it, and let me show you what that actually looks like when you take notes on the Brinkley book. So we're going to take notes, and I'm going to do something like it's a cooking show. I'm going to sort of pause it, take the notes, come back and show you what I did. So we're going to take notes starting with chapter 1, just like you're going to be starting with. And I'm going to take notes for the first 4 or 5 pages, all the way up until Europe looks westward. So you can get a sense of how many notes you should take and what they should look like. So let me pause it, and I'll be back with some notes. All right, and actually I went a little bit further than what I said. Europe explores, Europe looks westward. I went all the way through where it says Christopher Columbus, but this is about 4 or 5 pages of your textbook worth of writing. You should not be writing more than what's in the textbook or even as much as in the textbook. The goal is to pull out the main ideas in a way that you'll be able to understand them. So this was just me simply taking notes as I read them, trying to organize them in ways that made sense to me. Yours might look a little bit different, but I tried to keep it short, and I tried to keep it bullet point, and I tried to make sure that it was clearly organized with each other. But now that I've done this, let's say I've done my notes for the day. I read whatever Mr. Kozik assigned me that day. Well, then the next thing you want to do is to make sure that you actually understood the notes and to think about what the purpose of the notes were. And this only takes a minute or two, but reaps huge rewards. So what you do is underneath this thing called the cueing column, you think about what the main ideas are, and then you write them over here, keeping them short. This is sort of your shortened review. So what I put was we have complex societies in Mesoamerica, agricultural societies in the north. So I said that was what the main idea was. I already know that it's pre-Columbian, so I didn't even bother rewriting that. And then down here, I said, what's the main idea? Well, Europe's starting to explore for Asia's wealth. That's what they're looking for at first. Then what you want to do is, you can do this at the end of every page or at the end of every chapter. It's totally up to you, but it's worth your time to write a full summary down here of what you just read for the main idea. So let me do another pause. So my summary is not all that profound, but I wrote in sort of what took place in those pages. Since the pages are very introductory, my summary is very introductory, but I wanted to give you a visual sense of what your sort of final note should look like. So in the end, I put something about Americans and Europeans had no knowledge of each other. It was not until Europeans looking for routes to Asia bumped into the Americas that they began to collide. So not very even grammatically correct what I wrote there, but still effective. Then what's definitely worth your time is to, sorry, I had to step away for a highlighter, is to, at the end when you're done your notes, if you have time to do this, or if simply before a quiz, go through and highlight the things that were in the vocab list. If you don't have what's in the vocab list, go back and see where you missed it. So here I know I have something about early Columbus's exploration. I have something about agricultural trends in the pre-contact. I know I missed the words Inca and I missed the words Mexica, so maybe I want to go back and add those in here so that I can make sure that these are words that I might be quizzed on and I know how they fit together. So this is sort of, if you end up with notes that look like this, you can even color code them, then you'll be in really good shape to succeed this year in U.S. history. So once again, the point of these Cornell notes is to give you something that's organized, but also to give you something to review. First reviewing by writing down the main ideas, then reviewing by writing down a full summary of what you read, and finally, by reviewing on this page where you can write down questions, you can even doodle what you saw, you can anything that's going to help you sort of remember it or reflect upon what you read is definitely valuable and worth your time. So review the chapter and review before you read and review your notes after you read. It does not take a lot of time. But, and in fact, I think it will save you a lot of time by doing this. It'll save you time studying, and it'll prevent you from writing down information that's extraneous. I hope this helped. Please email me on Schoology if you have questions about your summer work. My name is Mr. Greiner, Greiner, and I'd be happy to answer them if you get stuck or have questions on the expectations. Have a great summer.